All right, hey Vikings fans, welcome in to another episode of the Skol Hop. I'm Evan.
And I'm Austin.
And we're just a couple of dudes from Iowa. We like drinking beer and talking about the Vikings.
Yeah, we do. And you know, it's March and most people are filling out brackets for college basketball. And I don't normally fill one out, but I think I might this year. I don't know.
Yeah, I love college basketball. I fill one out every year. So, I don't know, maybe we can compete against each other with our brackets. But March doesn't just mean college basketball. It's also the peak of NFL free agency. So we're definitely going to talk about that as well.
Yeah, the Vikings have made a lot of moves. They could have made a lot more, but they have made quite a few moves in free agency and with their own team this year. And I think we can give our own opinions about all those moves too.
Yeah, for sure. And we always tell you, grab a cold one and join us. And we mean that. But you'll notice throughout this episode, neither of us have a cold one in front of us. I've got a water bottle. That's about it. We just happened to not have beer tonight. So wherever you are, grab your favorite beverage, water, beer, or anything else, and join us for episode 130 of the Skol Hop.
Skol.
Skol.
Okay, we just want to say thank you to episode sponsor That's Badass Wood Art for sponsoring today's episode. If you are interested in some really cool wood art for your man cave or your living room, I don't know, anywhere you want to hang up really cool art, go ahead and check out all the cool stuff at that'sbadasswoodart.com. There's tons of sports related stuff, tons of Vikings and other teams related stuff, also tons of pop culture and movies and really anything you want. You could also commission a custom piece from That's Badass Wood Art, and that's something that usually when we're doing this segment or this promotion here, we show off our own small piece of That's Badass Wood Art. But I think now, if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, we might be able to show off a little bit of a preview of a piece that we have commissioned for our podcast here, the Skol Hop. So if you're watching, you can see just this yet to be completed, but a sneak preview of what our piece is going to look like here. It's, like I said, just kind of a sneak peek. I think it looks fantastic. I told the people over there at That's Badass Wood Art that I didn't have low expectations at all, but when I saw that picture, it just blew my mind with how awesome that looks. I can't wait to hang it up in the Skullman Center. So if you are interested in your own piece, go ahead and check out their website. Use our promo code SKOLHOP, that's SKOLHOP, all one word, at checkout, and that'll get you 10% off any and all orders. So thanks, That's Badass Wood Art.
Yeah, thanks. And I mean, it's going to look like this right behind me, and you've got one right behind you. But like just that 3D element of that wood art piece, it looks cool. It's got that wood grain vibe to it, and I don't know, I'm just excited. It gave me chills pumped when I saw that. That's pretty cool. Well, kind of a different episode for us. We're recording remotely, which we don't typically do. We're usually sitting behind my seat here at the Skullman Center, but that's okay. Sometimes we just gotta shake it up a little bit. Another just weird thing is I don't think we're drinking any beer tonight.
Yeah.
It's a dry episode.
I'm a little bit of a solo parent this week. The wife got to take a fun trip, and because of that, I'm just trying to be a little responsible here. So I got the kids have already gone to bed, but since I'm the only adult in the house, I'm abstaining from any alcohol right now. So yeah, a dry episode for me. And that's okay,
water.
I
got my water. I always have one of these.
Yeah. It's okay. It's always fine to take a day off or a week off or however long off you want from a good, nice cold beer. But trust us, we will be back at the Skullman Center and with some nice frothy cold beers very soon. So
Yeah, can't wait. It's March. You know what that
Is
means,
it?
right?
Free agency, NFL free agency. That's the only fun thing in sports that happens in March, right?
I think there are a lot of people that would beg to differ. In fact, I would beg to differ. I'm a
Whoa.
big college basketball fan. I wouldn't say that I'm like the most knowledgeable fan, but I love college basketball. I don't like the NBA at all, and so college basketball kind of hooks me in this season where there's no really football anymore. The news of the NFL
Yeah.
cycle kind of keeps me hooked a little bit, but I don't know, college basketball, man. I just get excited. I sat down with my daughters tonight. For the first time ever, they picked their own brackets,
Okay.
and we've got this little family pool going with my sister, her husband, her kids, my wife, me, my kids. We all got a bracket that we've picked, so I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah.
Do you have a bracket that you made?
College basketball is one thing that I really any basketball. If I'm in attendance at the game, I can get pretty hyped. I can enjoy the sports atmosphere of it all, and I understand the game well enough to be able to watch it and not have too much confusion. But yeah, I haven't really filled a bracket out for a handful of years. I've never really been too deep into it, but the few times I have filled a bracket out, it's been I'll take 5 minutes and be like, oh, this one, and then kind of submit and forget about it. But yeah, so no, to answer your question, I haven't filled a bracket out so far.
Well, on-air production meeting, I think you should fill out a bracket right now. I think we can use technology in a way to maybe put your screen up here. We can figure that out. If we have to pause the recording and work out the logistics, we can do that. But I think you should make one. You should make your picks right now. And then I will share my picks after you make your bracket. And then maybe we could make a Malort bet out of it. Loser has a shot of Malort when it's all said and done.
I feel a little unprepared for this, but yeah, let's go for it. I'll make a bracket. That's fine. And you know what? Don't tell anybody, but I actually don't mind Malort. So if I lose, that's okay with me.
You don't mind?
Friend of the show, Forrest, and I just recently shared we each had our own shot, but we shared a shot of Malort out recently, and I think he was kind of, jokingly upset about it, but I didn't mind it. So let's go. I'll make a bracket and we'll see what happens here.
All right. Well, let's do it. You got something that you can share your screen with over there where you can pull that up and we can make that happen?
Yeah, I think so. I think we might be able to get this figured out here. Give me just a moment here.
So while you get that set up, something exciting for our casual listener out there is that our alma mater, the University of Northern Iowa, is back in the NCAA tournament for the first time in 10 years. So that's been of particular interest for me. I love our UNI Panthers, and I've been basically a big UNI Panther fan ever since I started going to school there in January of 2010, which is when they historically beat. It was that March that they beat Kansas to go to the Sweet 16.
Yep, Ali for Oakmanesh. I'll never forget that.
For Oakmanesh. You got to be kidding me with that shot, I think was the quote from whoever was calling that game. But anyways, yeah, exciting time to be a Panther fan. They're back in the big dance for the first time in 10 years. They, I would also like to add, and I may have mentioned this in our last episode, but they were the first team ever in conference history, Missouri Valley Conference history, to win 4 straight games over 4 straight days to win the conference tournament. No other team had ever done that. The only other winners of the conference tournament have had first round buys in that tournament, and you and I didn't get that luxury this year. So that just proves that they're playing really good basketball right now. They're getting hot at the right time, and when I show you my bracket here in a little bit, you'll see that I've got big dreams for the UNI Panthers.
Oh man! All right. Well, I did figure out how to pull up a bracket here. I'm just gonna click around in ESPN and fill this bracket out really quick. So yeah, I'm ready whenever you are to get my picks going here.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, just start picking away, and you can see UNI 12 seed against St. John's, the third game down there. So
Yeah, right off the bat. I think when do they play? This Friday,
They
the
play
20th?
Friday.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll just go down the list here. Obviously, I think they're a number one seed, right? So Duke is going to take Siena, and they're gonna win that game.
Okay.
Ohio State, TCU. I'm a Iowa Hawkeye fan, so you'd think Big Ten. I'd want the Ohio State Buckeyes to win, but no, we're gonna go TCU for that one. And then Evan. I'm at St. John's, Northern Iowa. Should I
You
shock the
gotta
world
do the
here?
right thing. You
Should I
gotta do the
shock
right.
the world? All
You've
right,
gotta make it. You've gotta make it the. This is the rematch of the century, I think. Right?
a rematch.
Because-
St. John's, you and I have a little bit of a
No.
history.
No, no. If you pick Kansas in the next game, it'll be you and I, Kansas again, and you and I could knock them out of the Sweet 16 yet again, which would
Oh
be
man.
incredible.
All right. Well, we'll move forward. Kansas, and then is this California Baptist?
I think so.
Sure,
think so.
but it doesn't matter because we're gonna go with Kansas anyways. Keep it on down the line. Which section of the bracket am I in? It's like the East
We're
or
in
whatever.
the East, but if you just keep scrolling straight down, you'll go through all the regions.
All right.
And then once you pick all of the first round games, it'll bump you over to the second round.
All right. Just to recap really quick, I've got Duke over Siena, TCU over Ohio State, Northern Iowa, of course, over number 5 seed St. John's. Kansas is moving on over. I'm assuming that's California Baptist. And then we're going to go Louisville, however you want to say that.
Hey, South Florida played really well in their conference tournament. Just saying, I'm not saying you have to change your pick, but another
now
team
we know who you picked in this game.
I don't remember who I picked, to be honest.
All right, next up, there's Michigan State or North Dakota State. You know what, friend of the show, Blue? I'm about to put a smile on your face. Both you and I and North Dakota State are going to make it on. Even though North Dakota State's game seems like it's going to be a lot more difficult than you and I's. All right, UCLA, UCF. Now we're going to be a little Big Ten bias here. Go with UCLA. Moving on, UConn or Furman. I know at some point I'm going to have to pick. I guess I already have pick a Cinderella. I've picked a couple so far, so never mind. We're going UConn on this one. There shouldn't be any concern, and I think that's the first round for a whole region here.
Yep. Moving on to the South
East.
region.
Moving on to the South. Former college roommate of mine is a diehard Florida fan. So CJ, here you go. Florida's moving on. And then obviously Iowa or Clemson. We're definitely going to go Iowa here. This could be the year, man. This could be the year that we have a couple teams make it deep from this state here. Vanderbilt or McNeese. Oh man.
There's always a 12 that upsets a 5.
There is, but I've already picked a 12
It's
in
true.
you and I picked a 14 in North Dakota State. I'm gonna go Vandy here. Nebraska or Troy. Man, I'm not a Nebraska fan at all. I know, Evan, some near and dear people in your life are big Nebraska fans. We're going Troy on this one, so sorry to those people.
Bold move. Fred Hoiberg, good coach.
All right, North Carolina or what is VCU?
Virginia Commonwealth.
Oh, okay. You could have given me 1,000 guesses, and I would not have gotten that. You could have given me 10,000 guesses. Either way, North Carolina is moving on. Illinois or Penn. Big Ten, I guess. Illinois, let's go. St. Mary's or Texas A&M. I hate. We're going Texas A&M in here. I feel like I've been picking too many straight of the higher seed. I guess 2 so far. And then to finish it out for the South, Houston or Idaho. Man, I'm tempted. I don't know anything about these teams at all. We'll go Houston. We'll stick to it.
You had me
all right,
going.
Moving on to the West, Evan. I didn't even realize Long Island was a school.
Me either, but I guess they.
All right, we're gonna go Arizona. It's tough to pick a 16 seed. Villanova or Utah State. We'll go with a 9 seed. The Utah State there. Another school I'd never heard of before, High Point. We're definitely going Big Ten with Wisconsin over High Point. Hawaii or Arkansas? And Evan, I think, wasn't there somebody that we attended, you and I with, and we also attended high school with, had some connection to Hawaii after the UNI days as far as coaching. So just for that, we're going to go Hawaii.
I think I know who you're talking about.
You don't know who I'm talking about?
No, I think I do.
Oh, okay. BYU, or is this? Oh, so this is the play-in game.
Yeah.
And that NCSU, unless there's another one, that's North Carolina State University, right?
I think so. Yep.
All right. I do have a sibling that attended North Carolina State University, so just for that, we're gonna go with either. Yeah, I'm assuming that's Texas or NCSU.
And those, just hang on, so you know how that works. Those play-in games, I think they start tomorrow on Tuesday.
Ooh, okay.
And I think they're Tuesday and Wednesday. And I mean, basically whoever you picked, so it'll change. So if let's say Texas wins, this will change to Texas. If NCSU wins, it'll change to North Carolina State.
Yeah, that works. That's fine. I'm good with either of those two. Gonzaga or Kennesaw State? We're going Gonzaga. Gonzaga. I might be really annoying a lot of people there. Miami or Missouri? Oof. We'll go Missouri. I like the idea of that. And then Purdue, or is that like Queen's University, like New York?
I think so.
Doesn't matter. We'll go Purdue, Big Ten. All right. I think I'm chugging along, Ev. I think I'm doing all right.
Yep. One more region. First round.
Right. Hey, since I know you're listening, friend of the show, Forrest, I'm going to make you happy here. Michigan's going to move on, get out of the first round over either UMBC or is that Howard?
Yeah, probably.
All right. And then we have Georgia or St. Louis. And I'm going to go Georgia. I feel like I picked a couple of 9 seeds. Texas Tech or Akron. Texas Tech, you're gonna do that. Hopefully I pick the correct 12 seeds over the correct 5 seeds. And then Alabama over Hofstra. Man, I might be boring. This is going to be Bama for sure. Tennessee or Miami of Ohio or Southern Methodist University. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Miami of Ohio, just so you know, they were undefeated in the regular season. Only team in college basketball to be undefeated. But their strength of schedule was like second to worst in the country. Oh,
all right. You know what? We're going either one of those teams just off of that situation there. Either Miami of Ohio or SMU. Virginia or Wright State. Wright, you're going to be wrong. So Virginia's going on. A couple more here for the first round. Hopefully this is somewhat entertaining. Kentucky or Santa Clara. We'll go Santa Clara. Fun fact, I have witnessed Kentucky lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament in the past. Friend of the show, Forrest, and I were in attendance in Indianapolis in, what did we determine? That was March of 2022.
Yeah.
When Kentucky lost to St. Peter's, and then St. Peter's went on to make it all the way to, what was it, the Elite Eight?
Yep. And then they lost to North Carolina.
Yeah, so that day, Forrest and I, we saw his favorite Michigan team win. We saw St. Peter's win. We saw Murray State win. And then, I forget, Tennessee. I think we saw Tennessee win. So that was a lot of fun. That just shows, I can enjoy basketball if I'm there. But even that year, I don't think I filled out a bracket. But in Kentucky or Santa Clara, just to repeat history here for me, I'm going to go Santa Clara. And then Iowa State or Tennessee State. Man, I'm just gonna do it. Iowa State.
Gotta pick Iowa State.
They're moving on.
All right. Okay. I think you got to go speed round here for the round of 32.
All right. Well, I've already talked about each of these teams at this point here. Duke over TCU. We're doing it, Ev. We're making
Do it.
history again. Northern Iowa over Kansas.
Yes.
I have a feeling you made that pick too,
You'll see,
depending
but
on what bracket you're going to use against me.
we're tracking. Yep.
All right. Friend of the show, Blue. I'm sorry, Louisville is going to beat North Dakota State. The magic is over for NDSU this year. UCLA or UConn? We'll go Big Ten again there. Florida or number 9 Iowa or 9 seed Iowa. Sorry, CJ. Iowa's going to win it there. Vanderbilt or Troy? Vandy. You gotta pick the higher seed sometime. Illinois or North Carolina, two pretty historically decent basketball teams in NCAA. Is that right? I know North Carolina for sure.
Yep.
I don't know. Either way, North Carolina, you're going on. Texas A&M or Houston? We'll go Houston on that one. In the West, we got Arizona or Utah State. Arizona's moving forward. Wisconsin or Hawaii? Wisconsin, they may be drunk on the court, but they're going to win that one. Gonzaga or Texas/NCSU. Gonzaga is going to win. Missouri or Purdue. We'll go Purdue for that one. Michigan or Georgia. Forest, I'm sticking with you. I think Michigan is a force to be reckoned with this year. Obviously, they're one of the 4 1 seeds. So Texas A&M or Bama. We'll go Texas. All right, sorry, I said Texas A&M. That's Texas Tech, and that's who we're going with in that game. Virginia over Miami of Ohio or SMU. And then I think Iowa State's going to make it out of the round of 32 as well. All right, Sweet 16, Northern Iowa. The dream is dead. Duke is going to beat Northern Iowa. Louisville or UCLA. We're going to go Louisville. Iowa or Vanderbilt. And Evan, Iowa is going to make it to the Elite Eight in my bracket here.
That is a bold pick.
North Carolina or Houston. We're going Carolina. Arizona or Wisconsin. We're going Arizona. Gonzaga or Purdue. Big Ten, Purdue, let's go. Michigan over Texas Tech. And then Virginia is going to beat Ohio. Or, sorry, I keep saying that. I think I've done it every time. Virginia is going to beat Iowa State. Oh, man. Louisville's over Duke to make it to the Final Four. I'm just having fun with this at this point. Iowa's making it to the Final Four as well over North Carolina. Purdue is beating Arizona to make it to the Final Four, and Michigan is going on over Virginia. So that's 3 Big Ten teams in the Final Four. The dream is dead for Iowa, though. Louisville is going to beat them to make it to the championship game. And then Michigan's making it to the championship game. And here we go. Michigan is my national champion. How many points will be scored in the championship? We'll go 135. That's my prediction.
All right. You got to check both of those boxes. You might as well enter into the contest and see if you can
might
win.
As well. All right. I'm hitting submit, and there we go. Boom.
Boom. Michigan wins it all.
And I can prove it. I've only submitted one bracket now, if you're still looking at my screen. But, yeah, that was fun. The real fun will come as we keep track of it. Maybe we should post our brackets against each other. But yeah,
do you want to see mine really quick?
Yeah, let me stop sharing. Why can't I leave here?
All right,
there we go.
Here's mine. So we don't have to go pick by pick, but you can see.
Yeah.
I've got
you and I in the Elite Eight.
But yeah, I mean, hey. No, Sweet 16. They lose They lose to Duke in the Sweet 16.
I think I did the same, right?
Yep, I think you did. I picked Southern Florida here. You had Louisville going all the way to the championship game, and I have them getting beat in the first round. Here's my Final Four right here. I've got Duke and North Carolina. That would be a historic matchup if that ends up happening.
Oh, yeah.
I've got Arizona, Michigan on the other side of the bracket. The 1 seeds, I think Florida is truly the weakest 1 seed, so I think we were both right to have them out early on. But I did
had
have Iowa
beating them.
I've got Iowa getting to the second round, but then they lose to Florida.
Okay.
And then Iowa State, I think I have Iowa State losing in the second round as well to Kentucky. So you and I, the farthest advancing Iowa school in the year, I can be happy with that. Yeah. I do have Michigan going to the championship game, but sorry, friend of the show, Forrest. I don't know. I like North Carolina. I think they're a good team. They're a young team. Really, I think Duke could win it. I think Michigan could win it.
For sure.
But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what happens. So,
all right. Well, and then Michigan's gonna win the championship, and then the Timberwolves are gonna draft the point guard from Michigan, and he's gonna turn into a bust. That's my prediction.
There you go.
I know nothing about basketball. That was not shade at JJ McCarthy.
Well, that's fun, and I'm glad that we could incorporate a little college basketball. It definitely humors me a little bit, and it was fun to watch you pick a full bracket. So what we can do is we'll put our stuff into a group with each other, and then each week during the tournament, you and I can just quickly go back to check in on our brackets, see how we're doing, see how we compare with each other, and loser has to take a shot of Malort.
All right. Sounds good. So loser by, does the ESPN score them? Then will we get like a number score based on how well we did? Okay. I'm good with that.
That is correct.
We can let the ESPN gods choose who gets to take a shot of Malort.
I love it. Well, since we're a Vikings podcast, we probably should talk about the Vikings, shouldn't we?
Like I said, NFL free agency. I feel like our recording schedule has been a little hit or miss in the last week or two. So I don't remember really how much we've jumped into free agency. I think we recorded like our last episode was right after the first day of free agency.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep.
So the Vikings at that point had signed just one external non-Viking player. And they've done a few more things since then. So there's plenty to talk about.
Well, we should talk about Sean Borman's tweet because I think he's got a really good tweet.
Yeah.
And you shared this with me, actually. You texted it to me while I was working last week. And I think I basically responded with something like, that's pretty comprehensive to this point. Like that does a good job of just condensing everything that's happened into one list. And so I don't know, maybe we can just maybe just highlight a few of the things. I can do that quickly. And then we can really dig into it. And there's one obvious big signing that the Vikings have made that I know for a fact we haven't talked about on the show yet. And we definitely want to give some time to that topic. But let's just kind of warm things up here. Let's wet the palate with some of these other things. So the Vikings have cut the two middle guys on the defensive line, Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen. That saved like $22 million in cap space, which is nice. They also restructured Justin Jefferson, Christian Darrisaw, Byron Murphy. So another big chunk of change there saved. They tendered Jalen Redmond, Bo Richter, and Xavier Scott, which was nice. All three are very young, promising players.
For my money, Bo Richter, Xavier Scott, they're both guys that they're nice to tender. It's nice that you have their rights, but easily they could, either one of them, take a leap and become starter material, or either one of them completely be replaced by an incoming rookie, or maybe another player that's been on the roster that hasn't performed yet until now. Like it could go anyway. And then obviously Jalen Redmond, he's probably a starter at this point.
Yeah. Just to keep going down this list from Sean Borman's tweet, which we'll link down below. TJ Hawkinson, I had his contract adjusted. Aaron Jones was originally slotted to be released, but then he kind of like magically reappeared, and the Vikings saved some money by bringing him back. A big question mark right now is Jonathan Grenard. What happens with him? Are they going to trade him? Are they going to restructure him? He's one of the more expensive players on the roster right now. And then some other guys that they're keeping around: Eric Wilson, Ivan Pace Jr., and Andrew DePaula. Those are good keepers, I think. Ryan Kelly retired. CJ Ham retired. Both of which are pretty significant losses. They're definitely locker room guys for sure. And Ryan Kelly is a really, really good center, but obviously we didn't get him as a Viking in the prime of his career. Missed a lot of time with concussions. But wish him nothing but the best in retirement. And then we've got a few other question marks here. Harrison Smith, what's going to happen with him? Is he going to retire? Is he going to come back? I know the team kind of struck some fear into the uneducated fan base by designating him for a post-June 1st cut. And a lot of people took that as, oh, they cut him, he's gone. And, well, no, it really just buys Harrison Smith and the team a little bit more time to figure things out.
So they had to do that contractually by the time the league year ended. Otherwise, it would have been a complete mess for money-wise. I don't know the exact details of what it would have been, but either way, they had to do that. I'm not a huge fan of having to do that because that opens the door. Yes, I know it's overwhelmingly he's either definitely going to retire, or if he plays, he's going to come back and play with the Minnesota Vikings. But, I mean, cutting him, no matter what, opens up the door for anybody to give his agent a call, or for his agent to give anybody a call. And even if they're like, hey, I know you're going back to the Vikings, but hear me out here. Like, what if the Ravens call him? Any team. Like, what if a team what if the Chiefs, who are gearing up to be back to form again, or, another contender calls and they're like, hey, just give us 1 year and you'll still go back to the Vikings and sign your 1-day contract and retire there. But just give us your last year. Him being cut makes that a possibility. Nothing I've seen has told me that could happen, or that will happen by any means, but just the door open for that, I don't like it at all.
Yeah. So that's maybe one of the biggest remaining question marks for a potential returning player is what's going to happen with Harrison Smith.
Yeah.
And then a couple other extension candidates, Brian O'Neill, Jalen Redmond, Blake Cashman, all could receive contract extensions. I don't think any of them have as of this moment that we're recording on Monday, March 16th. But you never know. And these guys have all played well enough that they could be deserving of that. So
yeah, absolutely.
And then the last thing on Sean's tweet here is a checklist for top needs. And he's got, 7 things listed: quarterback, cornerback, center, interior defensive line, safety, running back, and punter. The only things he's checked off of this list are quarterback and cornerback.
Yeah.
As well as I can enunciate that. Center, defensive line, safety, running back, and punter are all still kind of these unfilled, needed positions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a summary of the tweet. And I think with that as some background, we should really get into it here, and let's talk. Maybe we can start with quarterback, because that's a big check mark on a box that was a big question mark pretty much since the season ended. And actually, honestly, like even during the season, the Vikings were struggling with quarterback play, and they thought J.J. McCarthy was the answer, but he was hurt, and then Carson Wentz basically like crucified himself on the field for the sake of the team, and and then JJ got healthy and didn't play great, and then he got hurt again, and then Max Brosmer played, and he was somehow worse than JJ McCarthy. And then JJ McCarthy came in and helped the Vikings win the last 5 games of the season. And there was kind of this like, well, maybe he could be okay, I guess. But I don't think many Vikings fans were super excited about it. And that's when the rumors started to swirl about like, well, okay, Kyler Murray is going to be a free agent and Mac Jones could be, and Malik Willis was never in the picture, but he could be an option. And there were a couple other guys that their names were floating around the rumor mill. But we now have confirmation, I think as of like Thursday or Friday last week, Kyler Murray is in fact a Viking.
Yeah, Thursday afternoon, they announced officially Kyler Murray signed with the Vikings. 1 year, something like $1.3 million that the Vikings are going to pay out. And the Cardinals are on the hook for like $36 million of Kyler Murray's salary this year. So he is essentially free for the Vikings this year. We'll dive into this. But here's the main reason why no fan should be furious about this is because there's no risk. Really, the biggest risk would be taking starts and playing time away from JJ McCarthy. If Kyler Murray were to, as expected, win the quarterback battle and start most or all of the season, even if Kyler Murray is only a Viking for 2026, the worst thing that could happen, and hopefully the worst thing that will happen, is that it slows the development of JJ McCarthy. And that's if you're like me and you still think JJ McCarthy is potentially still a quarterback of the future for the Vikings. I go back and forth on how I feel about this. And Evan, I want to hear how you feel about Murray signing. The biggest saving grace for me is that, yeah, he is no risk. It's not like the Vikings are, cutting, a handful of players so that they can afford to pay Kyler Murray $40 million this year on a prove it 1 year kind of almost franchise tag like situation. It's $1 million. It's, I think, Andrew DePaula, the all pro long snapper, is going to be on the books for more from the Vikings than than Kyler Murray is. I expect Kyler Murray probably to win the job in camp. Probably, if he's even truly competing for the job, it may have already been told like, hey, you're QB1. I think it would be naive to think JJ McCarthy is still QB1 for this team right now. People have said, oh, Kyler Murray doesn't even really fit into KOC's play style, his offense, but there's plenty of time to figure that out if that even really is true. Ultimately, at first, I wasn't super excited about Kyler Murray. I thought it was doing a detriment to the future of the Vikings, and I thought it was a move made by a scared coach who doesn't want to get fired. But honestly, since then, I've had some time to come around. I think it was responsible to go out and pick up Kyler Murray. At the time was probably the best free agent in sports after he got officially cut from the Cardinals. And anytime you can add such a dynamically great player like that, who's had his own ups and downs in his career, but anytime you can add someone who's so good for pennies, I mean, when you're talking about the salary cap, he's not even 1% of the salary cap. It's a no-brainer. You got to do it. Because if you don't and somebody else picks him up, he's going to play well for somebody else too. So I just think it was a move you got to make, whether or not you think the Vikings are moving on from JJ McCarthy or not. It's just a smart move that they had to make. That's my opinion. What do you think about it, Ev?
Yeah, it's tough for me to come up with like a good metaphor for what this signing is, because it is kind of so unprecedented in the sports world, right? Like it's a player of his caliber doesn't sign with another team for this little money, while still being guaranteed such a hefty paycheck from his previous team. I have to reference this really quick just because I know you're going to roll your eyes. But there is a Moneyball scene where the GM, Billy Beane, confronts David Justice. And David Justice has kind of got this, haughty attitude about him. And he basically tells Billy Beane, like, yeah, the Yankees are paying me $15 million. So, yeah, I think I'm big stuff. And Billy Bean's quick to point out, like, well, yeah, that's what they think of you. They would rather pay you to play against them than to play for them. And he basically tells the player in that moment, the GM tells the player, listen, I want to get every last ounce of baseball you've got in you, and you want to keep playing the game. Let's do that. Let's make this work for both of us. And so I think to come down to what that means for the Kyler Murray situation, I'm a little fearful, honestly, that Kyler Murray might have this like, well, it doesn't matter what I do because this other team is paying a bulk of my salary. I don't have to perform for you guys. And I'm making really good money. Like I'm making starting quarterback money from another team. So I worry about the dynamics of all of that more than anything. And I know there are going to be people out there that'll say, well, oh, he was a Vikings fan when he was a kid. So, that means he's going to play. Well, I don't know. When you get into this category of making 20, 30, 40 million dollars, I don't really think it matters who you play for. Like, I think you are in a totally different category than anybody else. I also worry about his health. Obviously, he's not the healthiest quarterback, and he spent time not playing. I don't think. How many games did he start this last season? Did he start any games this last season?
That's good. I think it was like 5 at the most. So let's pull that up.
So while you look at that, I'm worried about that as well. Yeah. Just his longevity at the position, even if he makes it, and if he's the proverbial week 1 starter, I worry about that with him. Because that's an issue that the Vikings have dealt with really since moving on from Kirk Cousins, and they moved on from Kirk Cousins because of an injury. Mm-hmm. And then, I guess it's his attitude, his health and longevity, and then it's just it comes down to who does Kevin O'Connell and who does the organization think is the future of Vikings quarterback. And Kevin O'Connell, I think, was kind of quoted telling Kyler Murray, he kind of sold Kyler Murray on coming to the Vikings with this, like, hey, I view this as more than a one and done type of thing. And I can visualize this becoming more than just you're here for a year and then you leave and get a bigger contract elsewhere. I can see you being the future of this franchise. And I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's hearsay.
I saw that as well. It could, as far as I'm concerned, that could be a rumor, but
it could be.
If you think about it logically, like he's 28 right now. Theoretically, he's not going to be done playing. He's probably got at least 5, 6-ish years at least, left in the tank before he even starts thinking about retirement, as long as he's still healthy and can still play. So it's not crazy to think that he could play this year and then sign a 5-year contract with the Vikings after this year. It's just logically that could happen.
Did you figure out how many games he played this year?
Yeah. So he had in 2025 he played 5 games. The Cardinals were 2-3 in those games, and I forget what his injury was, but whatever it was, it doesn't seem like anyone's still concerned about. It's just saying his season was cut short by a persistent foot injury. So apparently that's not still a concern. But for a mobile quarterback, you'd want his feet to not be injured. I haven't heard a sentence about him still being injured or questioning his availability for this coming season. So I wouldn't be concerned until we hear something like that. But yeah, he only played 5 games in 2025, all 17 in 2024, but then again, only 8 games in 2023. But yeah, I've only seen him play a full season, looks like 3 times so far in his career. But I'm not overly concerned about that for this 1 year with the Vikings. I'm not really either concerned about like his attitude or his mentality. I think you said when you get to the point that you're making tens of millions of dollars every year, it's more about giving your best to whoever's giving you your paycheck right then, which is kind of funny because the Cardinals are giving him most of his paycheck this year. But he's a Viking this year. I don't think we should be concerned about his work ethic this year. His overall, he's got 20,000 pass yards in his career. Like, for a guy with 7 years, that's not bad. It's not 5,000 yards every year, but it's not bad. Almost 3,200 rush yards. One thing that's interesting to me about him is his touchdown to interception ratio, which is basically right at 2 touchdowns for every interception. Which, I mean, you can win a lot of games going 2-1. And that's, if you look at his season by season, it's not like he had a few years where he threw a bunch of touchdowns and no interceptions, and then 1 year where he threw a ton. It's pretty consistent every year. 2-1 touchdowns. This past year, 2025, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. 2024, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. So I would expect that if he starts for the Vikings this year, it's probably going to be something like, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, something like that. But you can win a lot of games doing that, especially if you have a defense, which if you're in the I'm pro Kyler Murray camp, I'm pretty sure most of his career with the Cardinals, they never had a good defense. And the Vikings, I mean, you talk about that 5-game win streak for the Vikings at the end of 2025. Most of that is thanks to the defense. And another player that we've talked about here today, Harrison Smith, because he kind of came on and came back to, prime Harrison Smith form. So I think there's reasons, if you're looking for reasons to be excited about Kyler Murray, they're there. And it's not crazy to think that he could be good. But it's the Vikings and it's the quarterback position. It's going to divide all of us fans into, no, I want JJ, or no, I'm good with Kyler, or I just don't care, win the freaking Super Bowl.
I think it's not necessarily an underrated part of his game, but he's not a bad rushing quarterback. He's pretty decent. I mean, he's not a Justin Fields, like probably should be a running back instead of quarterback kind of a player. He's not that.
Did you see Fields got traded today, by the way?
Yeah, I did
to
see
the
that.
Chiefs.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting
to
see how that develops, especially because Patrick Mahomes was down and out with an ACL at the end of the season. So,
yep.
Anyways. But Kyler averages 624 yards on a 17-game average season. You think about it, that's like a RB3, RB2. Those are numbers that they would put up. And so the Vikings, I think, are in a kind of a precarious spot with the running back position. They have Aaron Jones, who they originally deemed too expensive to bring back for his age and production. But then I think Aaron Jones must have gone to the team and said, I don't want to play anywhere else. I'll take a pay cut. You have to think that's how that conversation went.
Probably, yeah.
They keep him. They've got the young guy, Jordan Mason, who I thought Jordan Mason would easily slide into that RB1 role with Jones gone, and then they'd bring somebody in or elevate Xavier Scott to that RB2 role. But now that you add a pretty mobile quarterback, if he can stay healthy, you've got this really interesting mix, and you can do a lot of RPO style stuff that, like, when the Vikings had Kirk Cousins, you couldn't do that. You had a true pocket passer guy, and I think you and I witnessed Kirk Cousins rushing for one of his few rushing touchdowns in his career.
It's like a 20-yard rush for a touchdown against the Cardinals.
And it was against the Cardinals, no less. But anyways, I think that adds a whole different dynamic. The Vikings haven't really had this athletic quarterback who can get outside the pocket and make plays with his feet. So if he ends up playing and if he ends up starting, I'm excited to see that. But I don't know. I still have some reservations about all this, and I'm kind of in the camp of, like, I'll believe it when I see it. When we get to training camp, when we get to the preseason, I'll believe it when I see it, kind of thing.
It's definitely going to be interesting to talk about and to watch and see how things play out throughout the offseason. Side note here, you mentioned Kyler's average rushing per season, 624. that would have put him at second on the 2025 Minnesota Vikings. If he had been on the team and had that many yards. Aaron Jones had, what's that?
Behind Aaron Jones?
No, so Aaron Jones was second at 548. Remember, he missed a bunch of time too.
That's true.
And then Jordan Mason was first on the team in rushing with 758. So, Kyler Murray with 624 would have been right smack dab in the middle of those guys. So, I mean, and then when you look at the actual quarterback for the Vikings this past season, there wasn't a lot of rushing that came from them. J.J. McCarthy had 181 yards. He did have 4 touchdowns and one in the first game, which was pretty exciting. But then Carson Wentz had 57 rushing yards. So J.J., who was a little bit mobile at times in his 10 games, that's still 18 yards of rushing per game from J.J. McCarthy. It's not like the offense relied on mobile quarterbacks or being able to gain yards out of specifically planning for the quarterback. I don't know how many times JJ McCarthy or any of the quarterbacks had like a designed run or even like an RPO. I don't think that was really a part of the game plan, which when you sign Kyler Murray in March, that gives you plenty of time to be like, all right, what can we sprinkle in here? What can we add in here? And honestly, if you're still holding out hope for JJ McCarthy, a guy who has the ability to be mobile, sprinkling in some of the mobility plan into the playbook, that's not a terrible thing to add in either.
So I think we've talked enough about Kyler for now. I feel like maybe we can sprinkle this in as we go, and as we hear more rumors and whatnot come out, we can address those, of course. But he's not the only player on the team, and he's not going to be the only player that the Vikings rely on. Borman had listed out the possible extensions: O'Neal, Redmond, and Cashman. Who do you think is the most likely, and who do you think is the least likely to get that extension this year?
Yeah, so I think the reason they were listed specifically in this tweet had a little bit to do with how it would help the cap situation. I do know Brian O'Neal right now, it's entering the last year of his deal. Yeah, he's on the books for quite a bit of money, $20-something million this year. Again, listeners, Evan and I are never going to be super experts on the cap or anything like that. Any dollar opinion we have has been assisted by someone else. I can promise you that. But so those three, Brian O'Neal, getting an extension for him could potentially ease the cap situation right now for the Vikings, which I think if they're good now, but they're not able to make many other moves at the moment. And it would just lock up Brian O'Neal for probably the last few years of his career with the team, which I think we should all be excited about. He's a really good right tackle and has only ever been a really good right tackle for the Vikings. Jalen Redmond, him getting an extension would be nice because you're locking up an up-and-coming, hopefully elite level player in the future here. For like I think I've said this in previous episodes, the sooner you can sign a guy long term, especially a guy that's good, the cheaper they'll be. The longer you wait to give a guy an extension, more likely than not, if they're worth giving an extension, the more expensive they're going to be if you wait too long. So Jalen Redmond, if you sign him long term now, maybe you can get him for $5-10 million a year. But if he goes out this year and has 10-12 sacks, he's going to be right up there with the other elite defensive tackles that'll be on the market. So, and then Blake Cashman, I think he's also entering the last year of his deal. It was noticeable, the overall performance of the Vikings defense when he was not on the field. He's not one that he's going to get, 10 sacks and 10 interceptions and, do anything that's going to make him the MVP of the league. But he is the green dot. Him being on the field for the Vikings makes it so everybody else, their job is that much easier. He is truly the quarterback of the Vikings defense, and it just performs the way it should when he's out there. We saw that when he was on injured reserve for 4 or 5 games in 2025. The defense did not play the same way without him.
Yeah, and that's where like I would take this list and I would turn it into more of a wish list than who's more or less likely. At the top of my wish list is Blake Cashman for that reason. He is the quarterback of the defense, and we saw firsthand how badly the defense performed when he wasn't out there. And I think with Brian Flores back, you have this wonderful consistency on that side of the football. I think you do everything you can to bring Cashman back. And like you said, he's not going to be this stat junkie. I think, though, like I remember saying during the season, like he just consistently led the team in tackles. Like I think he was always
he would lead the whole game in tackles.
Yeah, and he led all players in tackles most of the time. So, and that just proves like he's got this football acumen. He's got a nose for the ball, and he just finds it, and he's good at putting other guys in position to make the play too. So at the top of my wish list is Blake Cashman, but I definitely want to see O'Neal and Redmond stick around long term as well. I don't think O'Neal, he's 31. He's definitely got maybe one more contract in him before he's done. But he's worth every penny too, because you want to bolster both sides of the line. And I think with Darisaw on one side and him on the other, now you just have to, fill the gap in the middle and make sure you've got good guys that are keeping that wall nice and solid for whoever's under center, JJ McCarthy, Kyler Murray, whoever, right? So, yeah. All right, last question, and then I think we should wrap it up here. Borman has the checklist. We've talked about quarterback. We've talked about Kyler Murray quite a bit, and whether or not he can make it above JJ McCarthy on the depth chart. We haven't really talked about cornerback, but Borman checks that one as net. We're good. But he leaves some other, I think, pretty obvious ones unchecked. And this is where I want to know, what's your priority? If you've got your GM hat on, what's next? Now that you've solved this quarterback puzzle, at least maybe you've at least calmed the storm of the quarterback piece for now. What do you pursue next? The center? Do you try to plug up the middle of the interior defensive line with those spots left by Hargrave and Allen? Are you looking for a safety? Running back is kind of an interesting one, especially because Aaron Jones is now coming back. Yeah. Or punter. Ryan Wright, the plus-size punter, he's gone. It's maybe not the most consequential position on the field, but you do want good specialists to ensure that you can compete in all three phases of the game. Yep. So what do you tackle first?
I mean, it's funny you mentioned punter, because truthfully, like, a punter can flip the game. It can take, if the offense stalls at the 15-yard line, a good punt can still keep the opposing offense inside of their own 20-yard line. That would be like an incredible punt. So there is an opportunity for a good punter to totally change the game in moments, not necessarily for the whole game, but definitely in moments. So they need a punter for sure. But I feel like you can find those guys. Center, for me, to answer your question, is the most pivotal position left to fill right now. There's a few guys in-house that they could try to fill that role. With Blake Brandell could be a center. I'm trying to think of some of the other guys, but even just the fact that I can't right off the top of my head name some of the other guys tells you it's something that needs to be looked at. Could be as important as a first round pick. I've seen a lot of safety and running back being taken in the first round, but those are, big name guys. Those are two positions that are kind of flashy, and of course it's going to get a lot of attention, but center can absolutely make or break the center of the offensive line. They can make the right offensive protection call and the quarterback doesn't get sacked, or they can make the wrong call and the quarterback does get sacked. I just think if everything else on the O-line for me, when everyone's healthy, is pretty solid. A lot of people don't like Will Fries for some reason, but I think they just, you mentioned uneducated football fans earlier. I think it's the uneducated football fan that doesn't like Will Fries at right guard. So yeah, if they can do something to solidify the center position, I'll feel a lot better about the Vikings this year.
Yeah, and I mean, when you think about the center, you're talking about a guy who touches the ball on every play.
Mm-hmm.
And so aside from the quarterback, he's probably the next most consequential player when it comes to a play happening the right way on the offensive side of the ball, right? Like, he's got to get the ball into the quarterback's hands, and he's got to do it the right way. And not only that, he's got to be able to assess what the defense is giving him, get guys in the right position, and get the ball snapped on time, right? Like, it's a pretty consequential position. So I'm right there with you. I think I tackle center first, and try to get the best possible guy that you can. You want a guy that's smart, like oh gosh, now I'm blanking on his name. He just played in the Super Bowl with the Patriots. Who am I thinking?
Garrett Bradbury.
Yeah, that guy.
Current Bear.
Yeah, now he's a Bear. He had the smarts for sure, but he was just undersized and he got bowled over quite a bit. So you want a guy that has a little bit of size on him, who can handle whatever's coming his way and doesn't just get run over. But you also don't want just, a big brick wall that has nothing going on up top, because then I think that's when you end up having all these false starts and illegal shifts and things like that. And so you need a little bit of both. You need a little bit of brains and a little bit of body to really make that complete package. So
absolutely,
yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how everything shapes up. There's still a lot of holes to fill and a lot of things to kind of clean up for the Vikings. I'd say at this point, though, I mean, I'm fairly optimistic that they'll put a decent team on the field. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're going to win the NFC North and they're going to be the 1 seed, anything like that.
Never know.
But no, I think we can be pleased with how things have gone so far. I am interested to see how this GM-less team continues to navigate the offseason, and with the draft coming up in pretty much a month, that will be really interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if the Vikings draft better or worse than they did under Kwesi. So,
for sure,
a lot of interesting things ahead.
Can't wait to see it.
Should be good.
All right, Ev. If people want to keep the conversation going with us, how can they reach out?
Yeah. Well, if you're watching us right now, you're either watching on Spotify or YouTube. Those are kind of the main places we post the episode. Of course, it goes lots of other places as well, but like and subscribe on those 2 platforms for sure. Those are kind of the 2 main places where we're looking at stats and seeing how many people are watching our stuff. So that definitely means a lot to us, just in terms of the reach that we have. But we're in a lot of other places as well. Austin is very interactive on Twitter, I would say, especially. So give us a follow there. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'd say we're about as equally responsive on those as anything else. So check us out there as well. And we've got a website. We've got a few other places that we're on, but the ones that I've already mentioned are probably the big ones. So yeah, like us, follow us, interact with us, drop us a comment. We like to talk to people. We like to have a conversation. So start a conversation with us. If you completely disagree and you think all of our takes are horrible, be nice, but let's talk about it, and we can agree to disagree. That's fine. Or if you really like what we're talking about and you agree with us, tell us more. Or maybe we missed something. Maybe there's an aspect of free agency that we didn't quite cover completely. Let us know what we missed, because we like to learn, we like to know, and we like to hear what other people's perspectives are too. So that's the beauty of talking about sports. We can all see it a little bit differently, and we can have a conversation, and that's what makes it fun.
Absolutely. Also, don't forget, check out that'sbadasswoodart.com and our promo code SKOLHOP, Skol Hop, and that'll get you 10% off. Evan, I've had a blast with you here tonight. Really good conversations, and I like that we're not freaking out about the Kyler Murray situation. I feel like we're both pretty level-headed. But if you are freaking out about it, let us know, guys. Evan, it was a lot of fun. Good conversation.
Yeah. Maybe one of the better episodes yet. I don't know.
Maybe. Skol.
Skol.